Hi, my name is Kristal Reyes. This is my project, HK510-30, past 30-day marijuana. Cannabis is known as marijuana. It is the most widely used illicit drug in the United States. It's been labeled a gateway drug, and according to NIDA, early exposure to addictive substances, including THC, may change how the brain responds to other drugs. Studies have shown that marijuana use is associated with the use of other substances and can lead to dramatic health consequences due to the addictive or interactive effects of combining substances. Marijuana use is rising among adolescent and early adulthood due in part to the legalization and in many U.S. states, as well as the decline in perception of harm. While the role of cannabis is encouraging, psychosocial problems in young people remain controversial. There is growing evidence from both epidemiology and neuroscience that cannabis may be more harmful than believed. The total sample size of my population is 7,744, with 22 missing cases. There were 1,915 cases under the age of 18, 1830 for 18 to 25, 2,252 for those between the ages of 26 and 34, and 1,747 for those 35 and above. I also looked at education status. So there were 3,399 folks with no diploma, 1,875 respondents that had completed a high school GED, 2,023 with a college education, and 447 that responded to having a degree, graduate degree or higher. The questions that I looked at with the data set was, does mental and emotional well-being influence past 30-day marijuana use? The null hypothesis of mental or emotional well-being will have no correlation to reported past 30-day use of marijuana, whereas the alternative or research hypothesis is reported mental and emotional well-being will have a positive correlation to reported 30-day marijuana use. And for my second research question, I looked at the independent variable of work status, education level, age category, and want to determine whether or not those independent variables will have any influence on reported past 30-day marijuana use. The null hypothesis for that question is age of first use, work status, education level, and or age category of the respondent will not have any influence on reported past 30-day marijuana use. Whereas the research hypothesis or alternative hypothesis is that sociodemographics will positively influence respondents past 30-day marijuana use. So let's dig a little deeper into question 1. Does mental and emotional well-being influence past 30 days? The dependent variable or the outcome variable reported is past 30-day marijuana use. That variable is in fact a dichotomous variable where respondents either answered yes or no. The independent variable or the predictive variable for this will be mental and emotional well-being. Again, that's also a dichotomous variable where respondents answered either yes or no to having any issue with mental health or emotional well-being. So in this case, we want to determine if mental or emotional well-being is related to respondents' reported past 30-day use. So in order to run this, what we did was we run a chi-square test, which indicates to us that, as you can see, there's 2,335 participants that said no to marijuana to past 30-day use, and 121 that did say yes to past 30-day marijuana use who reported having mental or emotional difficulties. And as you can see, those that reported having no to any type of mental health deficiencies or difficulties reported no were 422, and those that reported yes to past 30-day use and no to mental or emotional difficulties were 7% of those from 32. So the chi-square test is a statistical test used to test if two categorical values are correlated or related. In this case, we can see the chi-square statistic for emotional well-being is 3.463 with a degrees of freedom of 1. The p-value is p.063. This indicates that there is not a significant association between past 30-day use and mental and emotional well-being, thus supporting the null hypothesis. For question 2, does age of first use, work status, education level, or age category have any influence on reported past 30-day marijuana use? Again, the null hypothesis is that those age of first use, work status, educational level, and age category will not have any influence on reported past 30-day marijuana use, whereas the research hypothesis is that those sociodemographics will positively influence respondents' reported past 30-day marijuana use. I've created a chart here to indicate some data that I've been able to find. So in this case, we want to determine if the age of first use, work status, education level, or age category have any influence on reported past 30-day marijuana use. And in this case, I use multiple tests, the first being the chi-square. The individual chi-square analysis indicates that an association between past 30-day use and educational level was observed. The chi-square was 1.8 or 18.155 with the p-value of 0.000, indicating that there is an association. We were then able to reject the null hypothesis. However, in order to determine the level of association, we then take a look at the Kramer's V. Because the Kramer V value is between 0 and 1 for these indicators, this tells us that although there is an association, it's what we call a very weak association. As we can see, work status and gender are all related to past 30-day use, although according to the Kramer's V, the association is weak. Next, the study sought to predict which of the independent variables will be most useful in predicting past 30-day marijuana use. Using a logistical regression model, the analysis indicated that the odds ratio for first use of marijuana was not within reason for the analysis. After running the regression multiple times and still coming up with extremely high numbers, I decided to rerun the regression without using age of first use as a variable. After the adjustment, this is what the regression looked like. Here's the data. If you are in age category 2, which is 18 to 25, you are 4 times more likely than someone under the age of 35 to have reported past 30-day marijuana use, and 2 times more likely if you're under the age of 18. So here are categories right here. This category right here being the predictor category, being over the age of 35. And this right here is our odds ratio, indicating that we're 4 times more likely at age category 2, which is 18 to 25, than someone age 35 or older to have reported yes to pass 30-day marijuana use. The odds ratio, or the data, indicates that someone with no high school diploma, which would be here, is 2 times more likely to have reported past 30-day marijuana use than someone with a professional degree, which is going to be our indicator level, which is here. The odds ratio for gender is 5.63, with a confidence interval of 0.467 to 0.680, which tells us there's a 50-50 ratio that the respondent will be male or female, meaning it's not very significant in this particular assessment. So I went through and created some graphs that I think will indicate quite nicely the data. So to have a more visual understanding, this is a stacked bar chart. It nicely shows us the decrease in past 30-day marijuana use between respondents with no high school diploma in comparison to those in or beyond graduate level. So you can see here is no high school diploma, and you can see that there's a slight change here. But if you look at no high school diploma in comparison to graduate school, there is quite a significant difference. So the second stacked bar chart is going to take a look at education level by past 30-day use and break it down by gender. And as you can see, our odds ratio was about 50-50, and there is some differences in some of these areas in comparison to male and female, but it doesn't appear that it's quite significant until you get maybe to the complete high school or GED category. So looking at one more chart, this is a histogram of age category by past 30-day use. And as you can see, it nicely shows us that our data output indicating that 18 to 25-year-olds are 4 times more likely than someone under the age of 35 to have reported past 30-day use, and 2 times more likely than someone that's 18 or under. And I think this just gives a really great visual of the data that we just discussed. So now we want to go into future implications. Reporting the data Marijuana has been linked to mental illness in some people, such as temporary hallucinations, paranoia, worsening symptoms in patients with schizophrenia. It's also been linked to other mental health problems, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts among teens and adults. Due to that, there's some further indicators for research, implications for research. Looking specifically at the age of first marijuana use, research indicates that early use of cannabis is correlated to mental or emotional difficulties, such as depression and anxiety. Looking at specific DSM-5 diagnoses, such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, depression, anxiety, psychosis, like looking at this and the association with onset and age of first marijuana use. There's significant data that shows us, that's included in the reference log, there's significant data that indicates that early onset of marijuana use can lead to dependency, but it also tends to increase or elevate the number of young adolescents and adults who are indicating or meeting DSM-5 criteria for a multitude of mental health disorders such as psychosis. Marijuana has been labeled as a gateway drug. Another area for more research is the association between age of first use and current 30-day use. Studies demonstrate a significant relationship between marijuana use, frequency, and the use of other substances, including cocaine, stimulants, opiates, and hallucinogens, as well as tobacco use. Some additional research questions is looking specifically at age of first marijuana use research indicates that early use of cannabis is correlated to mental or emotional difficulties, such as depression and anxiety. Looking specifically at DSM-5 diagnosis and the association with onset and age of first marijuana use. Another additional question that I would like to have or like to see done, another area for more research is the association between age of first use and current 30-day use. As I said earlier on in my presentation, the data that I had was given to me, and I could not determine what the issue was between those two, that independent variable. But I think that there is definitely room for more research in that area. Implications for public health. Implications for public health models are to continue to increase substance use education and prevention programs within local school and communities, as age of first use has a negative association with educational level attainment and multiple health risks. Other implications for public health are increased public health surveillance of marijuana use due to the increasing public consumption of marijuana and changing policies. Another consideration is to begin prevention programs earlier in school and in the home with the hope of delaying age of first use of marijuana and having a positive effect on social norms. And to close off my presentation, here are some of the SPSS outputs that were created. You can see right here the number of folks included in my analysis. There were 22 missing cases, classification table, and categorical value coding. Here is the logistic regression specifically for the numbers that we talked about. And these are the references that I used. Thank you for your time.